Greetings everybody and welcome back. You are watching the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. If you are engaging with this channel for the very first time, or maybe you're one of the viewers who have been basically subscribed to my channel for years, either way, please feel free to donate to the channel and to my efforts to preserve more of these incredible vintage sewing machines for future generations. Every one of the videos, as well as the homepage of my channel, has a link you can click on. It says buy me a coffee or please buy me a coffee. And it will take you straight to my own Buy Me a Coffee webpage, which you will recognize because you will see that lovely two-tone Singer 301, which is part of the symbol of my home channel. And if you see anything on the channel, or if it's been of value to you, or maybe you just want to support my efforts, please consider making a donation. You can do it at any level you wish, at any time. Anyway, I appreciate you all watching. And what are you looking at the moment? You are looking at a set of artist brushes and 2 bottles of Testors black paint. Testors, of course, is a brand of hobby paints. It's been around for generations, and they make a fantastic collection of products. They are not a sponsor. I don't have any sponsors. And they have acrylic paints, and they also have traditional solvent-based enamel paints. That's what they call them. And I prefer the solvent-based for the purpose of sewing machine restoration. The acrylics can be great for many types of projects. Now, you'll notice that when I bought these, by the way, they didn't have all this scribble on them. These labels are really tiny. In fact, you will see if you ever look at one of their little tester jars, you will see that it has a UPC code, an extremely tiny print. It will say GL for gloss or semi-GL for semi-gloss. Well, I have pretty good near vision, but good grief, that's a lot of squinting. So I just wrote which was which on there. Today, I'm going to be using the gloss paint. By the way, if you anticipate needing any touch-up paint such as this, if you've got old jars, check them to make sure they're still good before you go to the effort of setting up to do painting, realizing you won't have any paint. So let's see here. And by the way, the artist brushes I've mentioned in prior videos. What I bought is a set of artist brushes that were not expensive. Fine art materials can get into the stratosphere with incredible levels of fine quality if you're an artist. But for my purposes, I need soft brushes. But these were not crazy expensive. Now, they're not the crappy, scratchy little brushes that they use for... I'm not even sure what those are sold for. But these all are quite soft. Most of them are some form of synthetic fiber, but for our purposes, they will do just fine. I'm going to open my gloss paint. Sometimes you may need, you may find that the lids stick, and you may have to get yourself sometimes a pair of pliers. You don't want to squeeze the lids too tight. And let's see, now I want to pick out some brushes to see what size I need. This may be too large. If I pick a brush that's too tiny, I'll be here all day and won't really accomplish much. So all right, I'm going to pull a couple out here to start with. And very often the size brush you need also may be determined by how easy it is to access the area you're trying to cover. So, making sure not to knock that over, I'm going to bring the machine up to us here, and I am going to be touching up this item here. Now, I could also do some touch up on the rest of the machine. There are some little nicks and scratches, but for today, the main thing I want to focus on is the bobbin winder assembly. In an earlier video, I showed how to clean with a very small amount of dishwashing detergent liquid and some water, and you just use your cotton swab and you dampen it. We're not submerging this thing. And basically the purpose of that is to clean off any residual oils. You do not want oil in on that surface when you go to put paint on it. And then I went back with a cotton swab and I rinsed off any soap residue. Another thing you want to be mindful of is when you're doing this, in any area that would have been oiled, such as right over here, right here where this oiling port is, and then right over here, because I tend to use a lot of extra oil when I'm trying to get a machine to wake up after having been, many of these machines go into hibernation for long periods. What you'll want to do is once you've gotten everything, go back to these areas here, right on the edge there, to make sure that there's no oil residue there. And this is something you can do, like I said, with your, when you moisten your cotton swab with water. You can see I've even pulled off a little, there's a little bit of maybe a little oil residue there. And what this does is it helps you get as much of that oil off of the surface before you go to paint it. Now we're not going to flood these little joints with paint because that could cause us issues. But I just don't want any oil to start interfering with or messing with my paint sticking, because then I'll have a real mess. And if you've ever not followed the directions on even something like house paint, you know what can happen. You can end up with a big mess. All right, so I'm going to take my paint and, of course, with the little jar here, I'm going to just take one of the smaller brush handles. I'm just going to use that as my little stir stick. You can try shaking these, but they're so tiny. I just find giving them a good stir. This is true with any kind of paint, acrylic or what we often call oil-based paints, which are really, they're made with oil resins, but they have a strong solvent in them. And so I'm going to wipe my handle off. So, because I know me, I'll have it all over my hands and fingers. I'm not the neatest workbench person, although I try. So, check your brushes. If your brushes have been used before, they might be a little stiff even if you've washed them. So if that happens, I have my 99% isopropyl alcohol over here, and I can just sort of, I can dry them off, and that will help sometimes soften them back up. And what I'm trying to accomplish here is there are different levels, different opinions about should you touch up a machine. I have had machines that I did no touch up for because I appreciated the what people often call the patina that comes with wear as part of the history of the machine. But because this machine has such gorgeous paint everywhere else, and I've shared with all of you in a prior video, I think that this bobbin winder assembly, it is correct for a 201, but I don't know if this is the original. I think this may have been a replacement for one that was having problems. Potentially, it just is so different. I mean, extremely different from the rest of the machine here. So anyway, I'm going to start with my larger paintbrush. Now you'll know if the paintbrush is too large, you'll know that soon, because you got to be careful. We don't want to get paint down into this little hole here. That's where our oil goes. So I'm going to see if I can just come here and be careful. Don't put too much paint on the brush or it's going to drip on you, and that's not a fun time either. Notice I'm getting basically, I'll give you guys a little zoom. It might make it easier for you in this light. So what I've done here is I've actually come right there, but I'm not filling in that crevice. I'm not going to do that. And just using this larger brush helps me cover a certain area. And I'm probably going to go back with my smaller brush. Be mindful, these Testors jars are really tiny. They don't, even though they're glass, they don't weigh much, and it doesn't take much to knock one over. I have personal experience with that. Now I'm coming underneath. And by the way, as you might expect, paint likes to drip. So if you've got too much on there, I just saw a little pooling down here below, and I'm going to come there and just make sure I haven't gotten too much paint that's hanging down here, because it will form a droplet. And let's come over here to the side. Of course, I have removed the bobbin winder tire. Maybe zoom back out just a bit there for you guys. Let you see more of what I'm focused on here. And I think I see a little piece of fuzz there. I don't want that there in my final paint job. So this is kind of an odd piece to paint because of its shape, but if you just take your time, don't get in a hurry. That's probably one of my most often repeated hints that I try to give people. Do not be in a hurry. Now, what I've done is I've covered about as many areas as I can with my large brush here. Of course, there's an underside to this. You'll see it there, right there. So I'm going to come under there and attempt to, and I don't need to put a ton of brush. Don't submerge your brush in the paint. We don't need that much. The black actually covers pretty well. Black paint and white paint have some of the best coverage. All right, I'm going to come under here, and I'm just going to pull the brush up toward me, and I want to be careful. Of course, I have a there's a nickel-plated piece here, and if my paint is still wet, I can just remove it like I just did there on the cotton swab. I did not even need to use any alcohol. If the paint looks like it's gumming or drying, you can always take a little 99% isopropyl alcohol, and you can moisten your cotton swab with that, and that'll help pull up any paint that's gone any place it should not have. All right, so I'm going to come here. And I think for the rest of this paint job, I think I'm going to use the smaller brush. I'm going to need the smaller brush. That's going to be my approach. And again, I've got my little jar of paint here, and I'm actually going to put it over on another table. I'm just dipping my brush in it. I just know that I don't want to tempt fate and end up with first of all, I don't want to lose the paint because it's my last jar of gloss black. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to come over on this side. One of the best things you can do when you're using a paint like this is you don't want to keep going over the same areas. There's going to be some overlap for sure, but you essentially you don't want to pick at it, because if you do that, you'll often end up causing it to drag, and when you drag paint, you end up seeing a lot of the brush texture, and if you let the paint flow on its own and dry, because this paint has such a high level of solvent, it should give you a nice glossy finish when it's dry. Okay, so again, some of you will be tempted. You want to go back. Oh, let me just I would leave it be. I'm going to let this dry, and we'll see what the coverage is like. And it may be good enough that I don't actually need to come back again. And you will want to do this maybe in a little bit brighter light than I'm doing it in, because I'm sort of trusting my eyes that I can see what I've covered. Remember, this piece had remnants of black paint, and the rest of what was there was mostly just steel, but it was sort of a dark brown color there. It was not rusty. Probably old oil. So that is something you'll want to pay attention to, and you'll want to, I'm using, technically they have a official solvent. Testors sells one for these paints. I'm using my 99% isopropyl alcohol. I usually just clean my brushes with this. Now, it may not be the best, but it has worked for me. Again, this is the main thing I want to do, is I want to be able to reuse my brushes, even though they weren't that expensive. You know, it's not really that not that difficult to sort of rinse them off. And that is hopefully a clean and newly painted bobbin winder assembly for a Singer 201. And like I said, you guys tell me if you think I'm mistaken, but I think at some point someone had to replace this bobbin winder. And again, who knows? It could have been bent. It could have gotten thread in it in a way they couldn't get it out. I have no idea. I'm just, literally I'm poking at guesses, but I do know that it just stood out like a sore thumb, and that's very unusual. And I don't know if any of you remember, if you've ever followed Sherlock Holmes. What did Sherlock Holmes famously say? Once you have eliminated the impossible, even the improbable could be the answer to the question. Something to that nature. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, everyone. This is one of those things that there are good minds can disagree. You may have said, well, I just want to leave it as is, make sure it works. I don't care about touching it up. And you may not, and that's okay. It's not a mandatory thing. You all over the years, if you've been following my channel, you've seen me where I simply conserve the paint that is on the machine, and I leave the wear as part of the history of the machine, the provenance, if you will. But sometimes, if a machine is really good and the paint's just super nice, well, I might just have to consider doing, just like I say, just very isolated little touch-ups here and there, because it is otherwise a really, really nice example of a 201. And again, anytime you have any machine that was made with these black coatings, and then they had decals applied, and then there were clear coats. A lot of the manufacturers did this, not just Singer. You're lucky. You're lucky to have anything that looks like this. And if you don't, that's okay too, right? If your machine has lots of scuffs and wear, clean it, and you can decide if you want to touch it up, or maybe just leave it as is, because it is showing you the history, the history of its use. But I don't know how it happened, but somehow this machine has managed to survive aesthetically in pretty good shape. In fact, the table it came out of is going to need probably more polishing and touching up than the machine did. So you just never know what you're going to get until you open things up and see what's there. Anyway, I do appreciate all of you watching the channel, following along with me, and put your comments down below if you have a preference. Do you like to do touch-up, or do you prefer to leave things as is, as long as you have a nice smooth surface to move fabric across? Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.